This is in the year 1914 when an 8-year-old child was playing in a village in Japan. Then he saw a machine running on 4 tires. It was a Ford Model T. Seeing this, the child was very surprised. This was the day when this 8-year-old child first got attached to cars and mechanical parts. His name was Soichiro Honda, and who knew that in time to come we would see his name on every big and small car? Welcome back to Hectocorn TV videos. Soichiro Honda was born in 1906 in a small village near Mount Fuji, Japan. His father was a blacksmith and also worked as a part-time bicycle repairer. Honda's 5 siblings had already died due to various diseases, so his parents had high hopes for their child. But he had no attachment to studies. However, Honda was more interested in repairing bicycles with his father. When he turned 16, he saw a job ad in a newspaper. Art Shukai, an automobile service station in Tokyo, needed technicians. Honda wrote a letter to the company for a job and was lucky to get a positive reply. That was the time when Honda left his home and school and went to Tokyo to earn money. Honda's dream was shattered when he reached Art Shukai in Tokyo. The owner of the company started giving Honda the cleaning job and even put him in a baby seat. What would Honda do if faced with this situation? On the one hand, he had left his home and his parents, and on the other hand, redundant work was being assigned to him. He was ashamed to go back to his village because he could not face his parents. This was the reason he was forced to take on more jobs there for the next several months. After a few months, the owner of Art Shukai started assigning workshop work to Honda. Honda was very interested in this work from the beginning, and that's why he understood things easily. In a few months, he learned a lot about all types of vehicles and their parts. During this time, Art Shukai also made 2 sports cars. The first car was Art Daimler, and the second car was Curtiss. Both vehicles were built using used engines, and the Art Daimler won the first position in the Japanese Motor Car Championship in 1924. Honda was still a good mechanic, but in this race, he sat as an engineer with the driver. This was the event after which Soichiro Honda made motorsports his religion. For the next several years, he continued to work at Art Shukai and also expanded his own express. In 1928, at the age of 22, the owner decided to open another branch in Hamamatsu City. The owner gave responsibility to Honda and sent it there. Honda started this new branch of Art Shukai with 1 worker, and in just 2 years, the branch had grown to 30 workers. Honda had now become a brilliant mechanic and racing driver as well. He used his skills to design a sports car for his owner. This vehicle could run at a speed of 120 km per hour, breaking all the previous records. The record remained the highest in Japan for the next 20 years. The importance of Honda in the heart of the owner of Art Shukai had increased. He wanted to open his own workshop, but perhaps fate did not approve it. In 1936, Honda had an accident while racing. His life was saved, but his arm was fractured. His shoulder was broken, and he suffered several injuries on his face. It seemed that his life was coming to an end. He could neither work as a mechanic nor participate in racing. After several months of recovery, he requested the owner of Art Shukai that he could no longer do this repair work. Instead, he presented the idea that why not now they will start a separate company to make spare parts. However, the stakeholders of Art Shukai rejected Honda's idea. They were already making good profits and didn't want to take on new risks. It was Honda who decided to open a parts manufacturing company on his own. In 1936, at the age of 30, he opened Tokai Seiki Heavy Industries with his friend and made Takeo Fujisawa its president. He started the company, but Honda did not have the capital to run it. He used to work for Art Shukai all day, while at night he used to try to make engine pistons myself for his new company. He followed the same routine for several months but couldn't find success. On the contrary, he became weak due to the frequent shifts. One failure after another was blocking his way. Then he took admitted to a university to specialize in metallurgy. In 1939, after 3 years of continuous hard work, he finally succeeded in making a piston. Now he quit his job at Art Shukai and started making pistons full-time. But he did not know that there are still errors in the piston he made. He offered his piston to the Toyota company, and Toyota rejected 47 out of 50 designs. This news shocked Honda because he had no way back now. He started traveling all over Japan to understand the requirements of various companies and went to separate factories. He spent the next several years in car manufacturers understanding the market. And then Honda succeeded in making a piston once again. This time, these pistons had passed the quality control of all the companies. He started getting orders once again. Honda saw his dreams come true once again. His company also hired 2,000 workers to fulfill the orders. Honda's happiness, who knew that this happiness was only a guest for a few months? In 1941, Japan jumped into World War II, and mystery took control of almost every Japanese company, including Soichiro Honda Company. Honda was downgraded and made the senior managing director of the same company. And things got worse when the company's workers were drafted into military service. The next 3 years were very difficult, but in 1944, there was an incident that completely destroyed Honda's hopes. When a missile hit the Honda factory during the air raid, the conditions of the whole country were getting worse. Japan seemed to be losing the war. Then, in 1945, there were 2 nuclear attacks that broke the back of Japan. After that, Japan surrendered to America. The war was now over. But Honda had lost everything. He sold his small holdings to Toyota for $450,000 and became unemployed once again. This situation was not only with Honda, but the whole of Japan was going through a very bad crisis. The economy was melting. The severe shortage of food and water and inflation had broken everyone's back. Finding public transport was extremely difficult, because petrol was also scarce in Japan. At the same time, Honda received a small engine from the Japanese Emperor's army, which he used to operate a wireless radio. Forced by his habit, he came up with an idea. He thought, why not put this engine on a bicycle? And if the transport problem is solved, it will make transport easier and cheaper. Because in this period, people were already very worried about inflation. So when they saw this engine installed on a bicycle, everyone liked this idea very much. Honda got some used engines, but the demand was so high that now Honda has designed its own new engine. It was the first time in history that a Honda logo was seen on a machine. Honda did not have enough money to make this cycle on a large scale, so he wrote an open letter to 18,000 shopkeepers. People had so much faith in Honda that 3,000 shopkeepers responded positively and also gave money in advance. In the next 3 years, Honda created a motorcycle that was exactly in line with the market's requirements. It was launched in the name of Super Cup, which created a storm in the market as soon as it came. This model was so successful that in 1958, it surpassed the sales of America's own Triumph and Harley-Davidson, because Honda was very fond of racing. So now, he decided to make his own sports motorcycle. He used to go to various motorcycle races and note down the special features of the winning bike. At that time, the sports competition was more of a marketing tool for the manufacturing company than the race. In a few years, Honda's first sports bike was launched, which won the first position in the international racing competition in 1962. This race made the name of Honda famous all over the world. In 1960, Honda had become the largest motorcycle manufacturing company in the world. And by 1968, they had sold 10 million units. After spending 62 years of his life, Soichiro Honda finally got success. But the dream that he had from childhood was not yet fulfilled. Honda now wanted to know the side of car manufacturing. Many people also forbade him to do so, but he did not listen to anyone. At that time, companies like Toyota and Nissan had already established their business in Japan. It was quite difficult to make a new place in the market there. Honda launched its first pickup truck, the T360, which failed. After that, the sports car S500 was launched, of which only 1,300 units were sold. After many years of hard work and dozens of design rejections, the Honda Civic was finally launched in 1972. This is the car whose new model is still famous all over the world. In 1980, Honda Motors was the third largest manufacturing company in Japan, and in just 10 years, it became the third largest in the world. Today, we see the Honda name on cars, motorcycles, boat engines, airplane engines, and dozens of power tools. Soichiro Honda retired from the company in 1973, and on August 5, 1991, this journey of his life ended forever. Thank you for watching. See you in another interesting video. Take care as long as possible. Bye.